Hello, hello. This is Ayokweju Falekulo from Adlo Montessori Training Center saying hello today. I help both educators and parents learn the Montessori skills they need to bring out the fullest potential of a child and also show them how to make money in the process. Today, we are going into lesson 3 and we'll be talking about Montessori principles, Montessori philosophies. This is not a full class, as I said before, about Montessori philosophy because it's very vast and we will not be able to cover everything here, but I will just lay some basic foundations. Now, Maria Montessori, who was the lady who started the method, was the first Italian doctor that Italy actually produced. And basically, she was able to use her scientific background to study children and look for practical ways to help to teach children the way they actually want to learn. So the shift in the Montessori way of doing things is looking at how does the child want to learn? What is the best way a child learns? Not what do I as an adult think a child needs to know and how do I think a child needs to learn? No. You see, God has given these children some innate abilities. And because they have these abilities, they're already there. Why are we trying to rewrite what God has already put in there? There are some specific things. And so this lady spent time actually studying the child. From her studying the child, she was able to come up with some different things that she noticed about the child. And so when we talk about Montessori, we talk about a system, a method of educating children that is child-centered. It really revolves around what the child needs, what the child wants. She looked at the developmental stages of the child from birth till the time they become adults. And contrary to the popular belief that you're an adult when you're 18 years old for the Western world, or you're an adult when you're 21, for some of us in Africa, she basically said that until the child is 24 years old, there ain't no adulthood happening. And that I know that a lot of us will struggle with, but that is where she was coming from. And she said that there were several planes, okay, in the developmental stages. And the plane that we are looking at would be the first plane, which was between the ages of 0 to 6. And her own summation about the child during the ages of 0 to 6 is one, that the child was a sensorial learner. They're sensorial learners, which means that the child uses their senses to learn. They need to see things, they need to hear them, they need to feel them, they need to smell them, they need to taste them in order for them to learn about their environment, to learn about things around them. Think about it. When a child is born, a child does not have language skills at his disposal, but he has his eyes, he can smell, he can taste, he can touch, he can feel when you carry him, can feel your warmth. So they learn through their senses. And their senses are heightened, their senses can be trained to even pick up more things than they ordinarily would have, but really their senses are heightened. Have you ever noticed that a 2-year-old child might be looking at something on the floor for a while and pick up some small tiny thing and put it in his mouth? And so we usually say make the environment child friendly, make sure that it is child safe, because if it is not safe, they will pick up things that you didn't even see were there. Their eyes are sharp, they can see. So when you are working with children between 0 to 6 years old, it does not make sense to stand in front of them like I'm doing with you now and just talk. Number one, until they're probably 3 years old, they don't actually have that much understanding of language. Number two, they get bored. They've been, these 3-year-olds, 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds that have just started walking around. They've been cooped up for a year or two, just lying on their back, sitting down, not being able to move around. And then they can finally move around. You now want them to sit down and start listening to you talking. They're not going to do that. They're sensorial learners. So you make the learning practical for them. If it's practical, they will learn. So what you need to do is get them lots and lots of materials, different objects, and they can learn with those things. So really, the first thing is for you to realize that talking is not going to do the job. What will do the job is enabling the children to have opportunities to explore objects, to explore materials. That is what they need in order for them to learn when they're between the ages of 0 to 6. Another thing is just your role, really, as the person who is teaching. We call ourselves teachers, but really you're a guide. In Montessori's days, she called the teachers directresses. They were the directresses in the classroom. They were guides. They were not teachers who just talked. No, the job of a Montessori teacher is this. You present, you actually watch the child, you follow the child, you see where the child is at, and you take the child from where the child is at to where they need to be. You observe them. Then you now decide from your observation placed on what the child is actually able to do, you will now move them to the next step and then to the next step, and you would give them time. And in moving them to the next step, you do presentations to them. You show them things and leave them to work on them until when they're able to absorb the information they need to absorb. And then you discuss these things with them. When you see that the child has learned, then you move on. And there are ways that teachers are supposed to actually decipher and assess whether the children actually have gotten the things that you're trying to teach them. And so these are some of the things that we'll be going through in the foundations of mathematics, just so that you know exactly what it is you're going to do. And then thirdly, she talked about the environment. The environment, the area where the child is going to be doing different things throughout their day, whether it's at home, whether it's in school, it needs to be prepared. The environment should be prepared. And she said that is the main job of the teacher. If you're a teacher, prepare the environment. Because in the Montessori setting, you don't really use that many textbooks, especially when the child is just starting out. What can they read? What do they know? And understanding for me is key. There's no need just insisting that children need to cram, children need to memorize information. No, they need to understand the information. And they need to be able to learn that information themselves. It will take them time. And so your job as a teacher is to prepare the environment for them. Imagine if you have been teaching the children addition for a couple of weeks and they've now gotten it, and now you move on to teaching them multiplication, which is where we would go to next. Multiplication is repeated addition. So it makes sense to actually do multiplication before subtraction and division. In the traditional, we will do addition, then we'll do subtraction, then we'll do multiplication, then we'll do division. But in the Montessori setting, we actually do it a little bit differently. And it's because of this logical sequence of ideas of how to get things done. Logical sequence of how a child will be able to understand exactly what it is that you're talking about. So you move the child on step by step from where they're at to where they need to be. Now, I was saying, if you had been teaching these children addition for a couple of weeks, and they now know their additions, and you want to move on to you want to move on to multiplication, and you actually show them a few multiplication presentations, and they're getting to understand bit by bit what it is that you're trying to show them. But then when the children go to the work shelves, they find addition, just the simple addition that you had done, no multiplication there. First day, second day, third day. What do you think is going to happen? The children are not going to be able to practice what it is that you had been teaching them, and they will go and take some other subjects, and you will be thinking, these children are doing practical life. They are scrubbing the table. They are sweeping the floor. They are dusting. They are not doing their maths. Why are they not doing their maths? They're not doing their maths because you have not prepared the environment. Same thing for parents. We need to, if we know that this is the next step, this is what our child needs, we need to make sure that we prepare the environment for the child so that the child is able to actually take those things that you need them to work on, and they're able to work on it. So you prepare the environment for the child. Is this the beginning and ending of Montessori philosophy? No. But the reason why I even lay this little foundation is for you, so that you understand exactly what it is that you'll be doing in the classroom and why you'll be doing it. So this is just the beginning of Montessori philosophy, where it is coming from. There is lots and lots and lots more to talk about. But for this lesson, this is where we call it a day. Thank you so much. I look forward to talking to you in the next lesson. Bye.